get us started.
Okay, thank you. Am I good to go?
Yep.
Okay, well, welcome everyone, and welcome to members of the public who've taken their time to give us their thoughts. This is your opportunity to tell us, your legislators, what you'd like to see in the county's 2023 budget. The process is that so far we've had several meetings at which the legislators have heard from the 58 departments and agencies and budget units that our budget supports. We've had an opportunity to look at their budget proposals and to ask them questions. And the next stage will be that we will consider the over target requests that individual members file. And before we do that, we'd like to hear from you. You will have another opportunity at a public hearing, but at that point, the legislature will have already voted on the OTRs it would like to support. And this is your opportunity to make yourself heard before we do that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Norma and Lisa, who put our recommended budget together, and Dominic will be moderating in terms of letting people in to speak. So thank you all.
Thank you, Deborah. I'm Lisa Holmes, the county administrator. I'm going to go through no more than a 10-minute high-level overview of the county 2023 recommended budget, and bringing my screen up to share right now. Okay. And I'm assuming you can see that that's the correct view now. Everyone can see my correct view. Okay, terrific. So again, just in very broad, this is a very broad brush of the 2023 recommended budget that the legislature is now considering and acting upon. This is the summary page. The 2023 recommended operating budget totals nearly $208 million. That includes a recommended tax levy of $53 million, which is an increase of 1.46% over the amount levied in 2022. Tompkins County's estimated property tax cap for 2023 is 2.59%. So the recommended budget falls below the tax cap. If adopted, this budget would mean an $83 decrease in the annual tax bill on a median priced home of $225,000. The recommended budget also includes a planned increase of $5 in the solid waste fee to support the operations of the Recycling and Materials Management Center. And on the capital side, this budget supports capital costs totaling around $121 million. The major sources of revenue in the county's budget are, of course, the property tax levy, which makes up a quarter of all of the revenues. The next single largest source of revenue is the sales tax at 19%. We've experienced a steady growth in sales tax for the last decade, including excluding the year of the pandemic. And we've conservatively estimated sales tax for 2023 based on current economic conditions, interest rate hikes, and the possible threat of a recession. We've also have a lump sum category of other revenues, which include casino revenues, legal settlements, sales of equipment, donations, and fees. That makes up 23% of the budget. And we have state revenues at 18%, federal revenues at 10.5%, as well as capital revenues at 3%. And those are revenues generated by our enterprise funds at the airport and recycling center. On the expense side, the single largest expense in the county's budget is personnel costs, the people who provide the work and the services provided by the county. That's approximately 25% of our expenses. Associated fringe costs make up another 11%. The next single largest component is the mandate category, and that makes up nearly 18% of the county's budget. These are costs that the county is mandated by New York State to pay. They include Medicaid, economic security programs like Safety Net, as well as pre-K and early intervention and the assigned counsel program. And we're estimating a $500,000 increase in New York State mandated costs in 2023 for family foster home and adoption subsidy rates. We also have a broad category of other in the expense line, which makes up 30% of our expenses. And these include program costs, equipment, maintenance, vehicles, and the like. We're seeing an increase in the cost of utilities, heat and fuel, and these are factored into our 2023 budgeted expenses. Our capital program makes up nearly 7% of the expenses in the budget, and we factored in inflationary increases in our capital projects for 2023. And finally, the support of community agencies makes up another 7% of the county's expenses in the budget. Also of interest to many people is the $19.8 million that the county received last year through the Federal American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA. So between 2022 and 2023, the county expects that we will have committed all of the ARPA funds. 42% of the ARPA funds will be used to support the county's capital projects. Another 33% of the funds will go toward the Community Recovery Grant Fund, and the application period is now open for that. The remaining 25% of the funds will be used for one-time requests, both in the 2022 and the 2023 budget. So in short, the 2023 budget provides for the ongoing support of county operations and the level of services the community has come to expect. We will be continuing the initiatives we've begun under the Reimagining Public Safety program. We expect to be increasing the support of the airport for the next short period of time as the air travel industry recovers. We are also providing support and cost of living increases to county-sponsored agencies, including Cooperative Extension, IAED, the library, the downtown public library, as well as rural libraries, the Human Services Coalition and its supported agencies, Tompkins Community Action, TCAT, and Tompkins Cortland Community College. And then our 2023 budget also includes expenses in our 5-year capital plan, which includes support for green facilities and green fleet projects, plans for a downtown campus, scheduled emergency equipment maintenance and replacement, upgrades at the recycling center, and support for highway machinery replacement and road maintenance programs. Oops, I guess that's it. That's my last slide. So again, this was intended as a very high-level overview of the recommended budget for 2023. And any more detail on any of the items that I've mentioned is available in the budget document, which is available in its entirety on the county's webpage. So at this point, I'd be happy to take questions or turn it back over to you, Deborah, for the next stage in public input or questions. I will stop the share. Okay.
Yeah, this is our chance for the, excuse me, go ahead, Deborah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I just wanted to thank Lisa. That was a valuable overview. And then I'm just going to turn it over to you, Dominic, to moderate our guests.
Great, thanks. So we have some folks watching on YouTube, but most of the folks are here on our Zoom. And so members of the public, I'd invite you to use the raise hand feature, and I'll elevate you to share your perspective, public input on the budget and or any questions about our budget process. And I'll monitor our YouTube chat in case anything comes across there as well. So don't be shy. And if you have a question or input, feel free to raise your hand. You could alternatively type it in the Q&A and I could read that out for you as well. We'll give folks a moment. All right, first up, we have Josephine Gibson.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you. I hope you all received my Peer Outreach Center OTR backup documents to your email. And now I just want to speak a little bit personally. My name is Josephine Gibson. I've been at MHA for 23 years, the executive director for 8. Often people who are dealing with a mental health issue feel alone. They may isolate themselves because of the stigma they experience from their community, at their job, or even at home from their family and friends. Living with a mental illness is a daily struggle, like someone who suffers from heart disease. Someone who has a mental illness must remain vigilant to stay healthy. They must learn to care for themselves and develop supports. I know this because I have a mental illness. I have had it since I was young. I went undiagnosed and untreated until I had a complete breakdown as an adult. I almost lost everything. I almost lost my life. I struggled with traditional clinical treatments. I always felt like something was wrong with me and that because of my dis-ease, I was garbage. Luckily, I got myself back enough to get a job at MHA. I was motivated by the idea of helping people so they would never feel as alone and lost as I had felt. Suddenly, I found myself surrounded by peers, by people who told me stories that sounded like mine. Stories people shared with me of what gave them strength, what helped them cope with life stress, and how they recovered their hope. I remember feeling deflated and a peer saying to me, I can hold hope for you until you can hold hope for yourself. This is what peers bring to each other. And this is why I hope you support and approve the OTR for MHA, Peer Outreach Center. This center provides community, safe from stigma. People are accepted for who they are and where they are on their journey. We listen, we share, we have fun, and most of all, we hold hope for others until they are able to hold hope on their own. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Josephine. Next, we have Ashley Warrender.
Hi.
Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. My name is Ashley Warrender. I am a resident of Tompkins County in Freeville. I have dealt with a lifelong mental illness called schizoaffective disorder. Before I discovered the Mental Health Association in Tompkins County, I had a hard time maintaining any sort of friendship, relationship, or employment. When I started attending their peer drop-in center regularly in January of 2018, I found a warm, welcoming group of people who not only identified with and understood my struggle, but who were able to help me gain confidence in myself. I was able to make friends there and eventually started volunteering. I became employed with the agency in July of 2018. I am now a certified New York peer specialist, and I am able to give back to my community through my peer outreach work. Because of the Mental Health Association and its peer outreach programming, I am here today and have found a world of recovery and a sense of community that I am sure I wouldn't have survived without. I believe that peer outreach is absolutely necessary to enrich the lives of people in our community who are feeling alone and struggling. and also to fill the gap left by long wait times to see a clinician. Peer work has changed my life, and I would love to see other people have the same life-changing experiences and opportunities, which I believe that a peer outreach center through the Mental Health Association can provide. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Next, we have Lawrence Albro. Welcome, Lawrence. You're on mute. You should have the ability to unmute. There you are.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lawrence Albro, and I reside in Tompkins County and live in the city of Ithaca. I have been in mental health recovery for over 12 years, dealing with PTSD and associated mental health problems. My first contact with the Mental Health Association in Tompkins County was approximately 10 years ago when I was having a severe psychotic break. I did not know what was real and what was being caused by hallucination. I showed up at the drop-in center operated by MHA. I met my first peer advocate, and this is when my true recovery process began. I met people like me with lived experience and a lot of compassion for those who were also challenged by mental health problems. Being able to speak with people with lived experience was key to my journey. Our new peer outreach center located in the Ithaca Commons gives us the opportunity to be more open to the public and to offer similar services to an already marginalized group in our community. The center is staffed by New York State certified peer advocates who all have lived experiences in mental health and who have a lot of compassion for those with mental health issues. In our county, with 3 to 5 month waiting lists for medical intervention, the new drop-in center will be in a position to not only fill the waiting gap, but also to provide extra support while folks are involved with a clinician and other medical providers. 12 years after beginning my journey to recovery, I am proud to say that I am now a full-time employee of MHA and a New York State certified peer specialist. Were it not for MHA and the previous peer center, I doubt I would be appearing here tonight. Thank you, and please approve the OTR.
Thank you, Lawrence. Next, we have Colleen Kelly.
Hi,
Welcome, Colleen.
my name is Colleen Kelly. I have been a Tompkins County resident my entire life, and I currently live in Ithaca. And MHA and the drop-in center, I think they saved my life. I've had mental health issues since I was 7, and by 2008, when I was 14, I was hospitalized for the first time, and throughout high school, I was hospitalized many times. And by the end, I was convinced I would never be able to work or live on my own. I did everything I could to improve my well-being anyway, and I started different treatments and eventually found my way to MHA's drop-in center. And it gradually became a huge part of my recovery. I eventually started volunteering and then working at the drop-in center. I found my community at the MHA drop-in center. I found my purpose. I found people I could trust with my true self. And slowly I began to learn who I was and how to trust again. When the pandemic closed the drop-in center, I did my best to stay together, but without the constant support of peers who understood me more than anyone else in my life ever had, I fell apart. And I had to put myself back together. And MHA was integral in this process of putting myself back together. And I believe that everyone deserves the love and support I felt at the old MHA drop-in center. And this community deserves MHAs to have a drop-in center. And I hope that you are able to approve the OTR for the Peer Outreach Center.
Great. Thank you, Colleen. I have no other hands raised at the moment. I'll give folks a moment to do that. Next, we have Michaela Corazon. Welcome, Michaela. You should be able to unmute.
Okay. Hi, Dominic. My name is Micaela Corazon, and I'm a Tompkins County resident. I live in Ithaca, and I've been here for 22 years. I'm completely moved and emotional over the testimonies of my coworkers. I work with all those wonderful people who have extraordinary stories and extraordinarily big hearts. I myself am a person with mental health issues in recovery. I was raised by traumatized adults and adults with mental health issues that were untreated and undiagnosed. And so when unhealed adults who are traumatized raise children, they raise traumatized children. And that's me. I'm also a drug addict and an alcoholic in recovery. So substance use and substance abuse can tend to go hand in hand with mental health issues. At the age of 13, I called the New York City helpline because I was wanting to kill myself. For many reasons. A big one was that I was a 13-year-old Puerto Rican lesbian living in New York City going to a Catholic school. So my whole life has been about helping people like myself. And now I have the opportunity to help launch the Peer Outreach Center on the Commons. And it's scary and it's exciting and it's wonderful. And having worked in prevention all my adult life, I know that congregate environments like this and socialization programs like this help reduce hospitalizations, decrease stigma, decrease costs to the mental health system, help people become more involved in their mental health care treatment, increase community engagement, increase quality of life and satisfaction. These are just some of the things that peer support and advocacy can bring to people like me. And I'm not making this up, it's on the SAMHSA website. And it's right in their value of peer infographics. So this is actually evidence driven, it's proven. I don't have to repeat what my colleagues said because this is about creating community. It's about creating a place where people can come and feel welcomed and not judged and can be helped. And so my personal vision of this center is to be able to have classes and support groups. And, Lawrence and I run a senior support group and it's bursting at the seams because COVID just isolated everybody. And so that's just one demographic group we're dealing with. I used to run the suicide prevention crisis line. When COVID hit, we were getting calls from people locked in their homes and their apartments who were literally losing their minds due to isolation and loneliness and not being able to get out into congregate environments or out to get their therapies. So I do know that isolation and loneliness can kill. It almost killed me. And to be able to be with people who recognize you and who welcome you and who say, come on in, and who offer to help you figure out what resources you may need, because we know what resources are out there. We also know how to reach out to other shareholders to figure out what's out there. So that's another vision I have, that people who work with people who are having mental health issues and all the collateral issues, right? Like homelessness and et cetera, will be working with us and come to the center. We already have Big Brothers Big Sisters are going to do a training. We're already talking about doing support groups for the street outreach people, and I've talked to people at Human Services Coalition. So we want to be a hub in the heart of Ithaca, that will say, we're here to offer support and healing. We're here for you to be able to heal yourself and get into your own recovery. And we're here to support you. As Josephine said, we'll hold hope for you until you can hold hope for yourself. Thank you. Please give us the money to do this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll give more folks a moment to raise their Zoom hand if they like, or use the Q&A. All right. In the meantime, while folks are considering raising their hand, Lisa, could you give an overview of an over target request and what that means? I know you mentioned it in the beginning, but I think it might be valuable for some folks who've joined us on YouTube or other folks in the public. Just a brief overview of that.
The process. So we have right now a targeted increase that we were trying to achieve with the tax levy. And anything over and above that increase is considered an over target request. Anything beyond the maintenance of effort budget that departments were given to come in at target. So anything over that is considered an over target request, or OTR. And that's kind of the definition that we're working with here.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, if any other community members want to ask a question or share their input, please, we'll give you a minute or two to raise your hand. I haven't seen any other comments coming through on YouTube either. We'll give people a minute.
Dominic, do they know how to raise their hand?
Let's see here. So if the folks who are on Zoom are interested in raising your hand, you can move your mouse over the Zoom window, and there should be a hand icon at the very bottom. And once you click that, it lets me know that you're interested in speaking. There's also, when you do that, there should be a Q&A button, which you can type in a question if you like. And I know we got several folks who also sign up to sort of listen in and just participate in that way too. So that's totally fine as well. So we'll give folks a little bit more. And I'll put in the chat as well for folks. There is a web page for the legislature that folks can email public input to the legislature as well, in case anyone's interested in that. All right. I think we've heard from the folks who signed up to speak tonight. I think we can go for any closing thoughts that you have, Lisa or Deborah, and then we can end there.
I just want to say I saw Mike Blaine had his hand raised.
Oh, sorry about that. Mike, go ahead.
I would just hope that we could let folks know, particularly the ones who are listening, that they still have the opportunity to communicate with us. They can send us an email. They can go through our website. They could send us a letter to the Board of the Legislature. And all of that information will still be considered.
Thanks, Mike.
I think I would also add that the upcoming meetings where the legislature is considering any amendments to the proposed budget are open to the public, and they are available via Zoom or in person at the legislature chambers.
And on YouTube.
And on YouTube. Thank you.
Yeah, it would be under expanded budget committee.
Yep.
So I guess at this point, I just want to thank the people who took the time to join us, whether just to listen or to offer their comments. And with that, I guess we can say good night.
Thank you, Deborah. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Dominic.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too.
Thanks. everybody.